waiting for a spot on an angled line. Driving to the outside, wasting my time. Took my place high on the rise. Look at them ants push away their prize. But I'll be free as a bird in a Walmart parking lot. I'm proud to be just who I am. Salute the flag just like Uncle Sam. My Yankee do good without a dime. Work for nothing in their overtime. But I'll be free as a bird in a Walmart parking lot. Payroll deductions for a 1K. Matching contributions that they never gonna pay. Helping out the needy, helping out the poor. They're working for nothing at that patriotic store. But I'll be free as a bird in a Walmart parking lot. Mega deal, sell a whole lot more. Can I check your bag as you're walking out the door? There's more to plastic than a debit card. A damn good casket when the times get hard. But I'll be free as a bird in a Walmart parking lot. Jobs are scarce.
What's up, guys? Max here, back with a brand new episode of the Scuttlebutt Show. I hope you're all doing great out there. It's a pleasure to be back live with you right here on YouTube. I hope I'm on time. Daylight savings time always messes me up, so it should be 1800 Pacific Standard Time. Let me know if I'm correct in the chat there. What's up, Voyager, Harry Lime Pie, Eviana, MC, Larry D, H-Nah? Great to see you guys in the chat. Today is going to be an insane episode. If you guys saw the thumbnail, that's just one of the crazy stories I have to show you guys today. I took the week off, and let me tell you why. So let's do a little about yesterday. So about yesterday, I took the last week off because, well, no surprise. You should know out there that I tend to spread myself pretty thin. I'm always taking on new projects. I'm always starting new ventures and everything. And I give it my best effort, but I start to find myself overburdened by everything going on. And with our upcoming move, I know that we have to start getting our stuff packed, start putting in paperwork. We're trying to figure out how we're going to get our dog back to the United States. So on top of all of that, I used last week to, I don't want to say finish, but 95, 99% done with the documentary, okay? After this show episode today airs, after we're done here live, I'm going to be showing a version of that film to somebody from the organization. If they're happy with it, that will be done this week. And then we're going to do a premiere, and then I'm going to make it available for you guys to watch. Maybe we'll do some kind of a watch episode together here on the show live. But that's going to be coming up really soon. So I'm really excited. It's going to be absolutely kick butt. And it's just, the end of our time here in Okinawa. It's sad, but it's true. We're going to be leaving. We're coming back to Camp Pendleton. We're going back to San Diego. So there's tons of stuff to do with that. We've got furniture. We're trying to figure out how much our furniture weighs. There's, multiple shipments of our stuff got to get out of here. How much, stuff are we going to donate and get rid of? How much are we going to keep? And, the military's doing the move for us, and so they need to know all these details before they send people over to come collect our things. We got appliances we need to turn back in. It's a lot. It's a lot. And with that being said, I got to let you guys know at some point, all of my computers and stuff are going to be gone. They're going to come take all that stuff away, and I don't know what that's going to look like for the show. For some period of time, I might not be able to do lives for a while until we get back to the United States. I might have to do regular videos working off my laptop or something like that, which is going to be much. I can't really support this live stream setup that I have. It's just not going to work. So bear with me. Once we get back to the U.S., everything is going to be much better, much smoother. I'm going to be much more available to do even more stuff because I'll be stateside on normal time. I'll be on regular time. I'm going to be in San Diego where we have tons of cool people that I know out there to come on the show. And speaking of people coming on the show, mark your calendars because this Tuesday, your guys' time, I'm going to have Duncan Smith, Navy SEAL captain, retired, head of the SEAL Family one of the heads of the SEAL Family Foundation, and the person who was responsible for the creation of the movie Act of Valor. So please join me. It's going to be an awesome episode. We've got them live here on Tuesday. The episode is the upcoming event is on YouTube right now, so please set a reminder. You guys are not going to want to miss that one. And then on Thursday, we've got Rob Sweetman coming back on. So on Wednesday, maybe what we'll do is Q&A, and I'll let you guys call in again because that was so fun last time. We'll do more call-ins over Zoom, okay? So stay tuned for that on Wednesday. Now, with all that being said, with all the business out of the way, I have a bunch of stories for you today that I can't, I find them not hard to believe, but difficult to accept with some of this stuff that we've got going on here. I mean, it is just crazy. And the very first story that I want to get to, I don't want to delay this any longer, but the very first story I want to get to is out of Ukraine. We've got some breaking news from someone who is putting up some red flags about everyone who went to Ukraine. So let's check this out. U.S. Army veteran fighting in Ukraine says he went AWOL because it was a trap, and now he's urging people, Americans, not to go there. Do not go to Ukraine, he says. So, again, all of this is to be taken with a grain of salt. Let's just say that, but let's cover what this is. American volunteers heading to Ukraine are learning their role in the war isn't as heroic as advertised, according to some of the men who returned after abandoning their duties. For one so-called veteran and Boogaloo Boys, if you guys don't know what that is, it's a very controversial, far-right group. Ukraine's, as far as what I know about it, Ukraine's various foreign legions were revealed to be a trap where members coming from out of the country were effectively pressed into service, their passports and other items stripped from them. 28-year-old Henry Heft, who served in the U.S. Army Infantry before becoming a steelworker in Ohio, left earlier this month to fight in Ukraine, only to learn that the foreign legion of choice was not what it seemed. Joining up with the Georgian National Legion, Heft was optimistic. 1 week later, however, he began to become disillusioned. People need to stop coming here, he said. So he actually put a video up on Twitter. Let's watch this video and see what he has to say.
So for anyone who are wondering what is going on, all right, we were part of the Georgian National Legion, the 102nd Ukrainian Territorial Defense, okay?
Language warning here.
Our base got fucked up. The base right next to us got fucked up. Americans, British, tons of British dead, all right? They're not saying nothing. They're counting our dead as their dead. They're trying to send us to Kiev with no fucking weapons, no kit, no fucking plates. The people who are lucky enough to get weapons are only getting magazines with like 10 fucking rounds, okay? When they wanted to send us to Kiev, we said no. Our whole group, a bunch of Americans, Canadians, British. So they told us we had to get the fuck out, or they were going to shoot us in the back, all right? So me, this British guy, and another American, we fucking hid in the back of an ambulance to get out. We got to the border, and it was a whole nother mess. When you get to the border, anyone who has kit, anyone who has any military shit, they're fucking pulling you out of the line and they're sending you back to the front. We got dropped off about 5 clicks from the fucking from the border, and we walked. And we get to the border, and this humanitarian group with a bunch of ex-SF veterans from England pull us to the side and say, you need to get, like, pulled us out and fucking, like, hit us. And they were like, you need to dump all your kit. They're pulling people out, cutting up passports, sending them back. So we dumped our shit. We got, like, in all of our fucking, we got in, like, Red Cross vests, and they had, like, fucking humanitarian passes to get us through the Ukrainian border. People need to stop coming here. It's a trap, and they're not letting you fucking leave. The best way to leave is like in a Vic or a car or something. People who get on by vehicle have a better chance of hiding their fucking kit in the back, doing whatever the fuck they can, but do not try to leave Ukraine on foot if you're a volunteer. It's a mess, and it's a trap, and I have multiple people who can confirm this story for me. I'm getting...
All right, so that's the end of that Twitter video there, reposted by, says Rooster, whoever that is. They're saying, I think they're trying to say that they are not supportive of him, basically. It sounds like I've heard other stuff here, too, that people are getting dropped off in fighting positions without weapons. They're getting put into units without any gear, with really unclear expectations of what they're supposed to be doing, etc. So I don't know. I don't know what to make of it. It sounds pretty bad over there. If you're a foreign national who went to Ukraine to go fight, it doesn't sound like it's going great over there for them, the situations they're being put in. So, you know, for anybody who's thinking about going over there, anyone who had that itch, I know how horrible it is to see that stuff happening, but it doesn't mean that you going over there will make any positive difference except for getting yourself hurt or killed, or, you know, somehow making the situation even worse by becoming a American hostage who's now in another country who needs to be rescued, you know, that's extracted. It's a challenging situation, to say the least, but it sounds like people who've gone over there didn't get what they were expecting. I've seen that reported multiple places, not just there. Saw it on Yahoo News this morning, too, a separate article of guys just standing, you know, in a building, and they're like, we don't know what to do. We don't know why we're here. We don't know what we're supposed to do. We don't have any weapons. We don't have any orders, nothing. So everyone just, you know, like I always say, I'm not telling you exactly what to make of that. I'm just saying you now know that information. Just keep that in the back of your mind. Try to use it to put bigger pieces together of this crazy situation that's going on. What's up, Nuggets, in the chat? Great to see you. So, unfortunately, I've got four stories in a row that are pretty tragic here, but we got to talk about them because these are important. We want to know what's going on. We want to know, you know, what is dangerous, what is scary, what is preventable, all that stuff. So I picked up these stories and I wanted to report them because it sounds like a lot of these, not this first one, but it sounds like a lot of these could have been completely prevented if there had been some better ORM, some better leadership in place, something like that. So let's talk about this first one and keep the ball rolling on this episode because this episode's jam-packed. I mean, there's some stories coming up. The next, you know, the last four stories of today are insane. So it's jam-packed episode. But first we have this one right here. 4 United States Marines die in NATO drill when Osprey crashes in Norway. So an Osprey crash, a very dangerous aircraft that cost the lives of 4 Marines on an exercise. Oh, man. You know, I think something like 22 Marines were killed in the testing and evaluation of the Osprey. This is a aircraft that can fly vertical takeoff and landing, like, or hover, and it can also go into forward flight like a regular propeller plane. And while they were developing that, it was very dangerous, and there were many crashes, and now it sounds like there's been another crash. 4 U.S. Marines were killed when their Osprey aircraft crashed in a Norwegian town in the Arctic Circle during a NATO exercise unrelated to Russia's war in Ukraine. Norwegian Prime Minister Jonas Gahr Støre tweeted that they died in the crash on Friday night. The cause was under investigation, but Norwegian police reported bad weather in the area. The Marines were assigned to 2nd Marine Aircraft Wing, 2nd Marine Expeditionary Force, and were taking part in the NATO exercise called Cold Response. The U.S. says the identities of Marines are not released until next of kin's notified. That's standard. The aircraft was an MV-22 Osprey. It had a crew of 4 and was out on a training mission in Nordland County in northern Norway. It was on its way to North Bodo, where it was scheduled to land just before 6 p.m. Friday. The Osprey crashed in Great Adelen in Bern. Sorry, these names are tough to pronounce. South of Bordeaux. Police said a search and rescue mission was launched immediately at 1:30 a.m. Saturday. The police arrived at the scene and confirmed the crew of 4 had died, tragically. The cold response drill is a large drill with 30,000 troops, 220 aircraft, 50 vessels from 27 countries. Non-NATO members, Finland and Sweden, also participated. There's no cause for the crash, but there will be a major safety investigation, aviation investigation into what the potential cause of the crash was. They say weather did play a factor. They say it was a special night. It was a real storm. There were 5 of us driving towards the scene of the accident. There was 1 meter of visibility. So in front of you, you could only see 3 feet. Snow and storm in the mountains. Red Cross team leader Orjan Christensen called VG. I guess it was a wind gust of 30 to 40 meters per second. When it blows like that, it's difficult to stand up straight. So, yes, that's really bad weather. For all we know at this point, the plane could have flown right into the side of a mountain or something like that when there's no visibility, if there was any sort of radar malfunction or anything like that. So, tragically, we have to report that 4 Marines killed in an Osprey crash. Ospreys are incredibly dangerous. I'm curious, you guys let me know in the chat. Have you ever flown in an Osprey? Have you ever been near an Osprey? I've been very close, but never flown in one. I've been inside one, parked on the flight line, and they've flown right over my head many times. I've seen them on missions. I've seen them loading and unloading Marines, but I've never flown in one, and I'm really not interested. So, you know, the military training is dangerous, right? We know that. We know that military training is dangerous. We talk about it pretty regularly on the show. But military schools, especially schools that are deemed to be high risk, basically, is this a school where somebody could get hurt? Is there physical challenges associated with this training? Becomes high risk. You do your risk assessment chart, you do your ORM, you do all that stuff, and you try to mitigate risk as best as you can. Sometimes there's nothing that can be done, and accidents do happen, and sometimes accidents happen, and they can be totally preventable, which we're going to talk about here in a minute. But first, let's talk about this story right here. Unfortunately, multiple people have died in training this week, in the last week, so let's talk about this next one. First Cav soldier killed in Fort Irwin training accident, unfortunately. And can these accidents be prevented in training? I want to know. A soldier with the 1st Cav Division was killed March 10th following an accident at the National Training Center in Fort Irwin, California. Specialist Joseph Metal was assigned to 2nd Battalion, 82nd Field Artillery Regiment. Metal, who served as he was 23. Metal, who served as an armored cannon crew member, was participating in the M109A7 calibration firing event when he was struck by a recoiling breech after the system was fired as part of the exercise. Basically, I'm not sure exactly what that means, a recoiling breech. Could it be like a round went off inside of the chamber? I'm not sure exactly what that means. If you guys know what that means, then please leave it in chat. So he suffered a severe head injury and was immediately aided by medics. While being transported to the hospital, he stopped breathing, and all attempts to resuscitate him failed. He was pronounced dead shortly after. Specialist Joseph Metal was a valuable member of our Steel Dragon team. We are deeply saddened by the loss of an incredible trooper and teammate, Lieutenant Colonel Chris Carpenter says. He's a battalion commander with the 82nd Field Artillery Regiment and while they were out there in Fort Irwin. We extend our deepest sympathies to his spouse, family, and friends. Our thoughts and prayers are with them in this time of mourning and reflection. And, that is a terrible situation right there. I'm going to go right into the next story because it's related. Sort of. That's a terrible story right there. I'm not sure what it was called, a recoiling breech. I don't know exactly what that is. I'm not familiar with that term. But when you're working on weapons, like when you're let's say a 240 machine gun, for example, when you have a malfunction and you're supposed to clear the tray, you're supposed to look away from the weapon when you do so, because a round could go off inside of the chamber there, inside of the loading tray. My terminology is probably not correct here. It's been a while. But it can be very dangerous. People have been blinded, had their hands blown off, all that stuff. And I know he wasn't firing a 240, but when it comes to just clearing a malfunction or weapons malfunctions, you can have exploding shrapnel going everywhere, and it can be extremely dangerous. So I hope that I hope he didn't suffer. I know it's going to be tough for his teammates out there and his battle buddies, and then it's going to be excruciating for his family and his wife. So, yeah, my heart's with them. I hope that they are able to mourn and grieve together and find some peace in all this. But, training is inherently dangerous. The military is inherently dangerous. We had a plane crash. We had a weapons malfunction. But what's really unexcusable is when someone's negligence causes a death in training, especially cadre. You got to understand, before I go into this next story, what you guys need to understand is if you're a military cadre, if you're an instructor at a course, you have insane amounts of authority over your students. All right? Especially if they're junior enlisted, you have a ridiculous amount of power. All right? When you're an instructor, you could make or break somebody's career. You fail them in a school and, they lose their job, they lose their pride, they might have to move because they, the job that they're end up getting put into doesn't have a billet where they're at. You just have a ludicrous amount of authority when you're an instructor in a military school. And that authority is just like in Spider-Man when they say, with great power comes great responsibility. You're responsible for the safety of the people that are in your class, that are in your classroom, in your course, your students. You are responsible for their well-being. It's a major responsibility. So with that being said, how does this happen? Soldier tried to identify as a weak swimmer before Ranger School River drowning. He said he was a weak swimmer. They said, we don't think so. Good luck out there. Leave me a comment. How jacked up is that? So for Corporal James Requenez, he was a high performer known for his selflessness and carrying the most weight on ruck marches. But prior to a river crossing during Ranger School's final phase in Florida in March 2021, he exercised a rare moment of personal concern, according to witness statements made after his drowning. Before Requenez's class began their final field exercise, instructors asked which students were the weak swimmers, a label that offers extra safety considerations. Keep in mind, in Afghanistan, for example, there have been many drowning deaths. Many drowning deaths. People don't really think about that. Maybe you have never heard of that, but Taliban, they would flood rivers intentionally to drown soldiers. People have to cross rivers. Vehicles have to cross rivers. People drown during those crossings. Don't think that just because you're going to a boots-on-ground deployment that there's no threat of drowning. There definitely is. So he labeled himself as a weak swimmer, but an instructor told the 28-year-old member of 3rd Battalion, 75th Ranger Regiment that he had to have been identified as a weak swimmer during the initial phase of the course in Georgia. Requenez also passed the water survival assessment there, so he would not carry the label in Florida. But one student said in his statement that Requenez was not a strong swimmer. The two had talked previously, and Requenez did not want to undergo that water assessment again, which involves swimming with a rifle and load-bearing vest. But whatever worries Requenez had were not voiced further. On the day of the river crossing, he even volunteered to carry his squad's .240 machine gun, though he had never taken it across a rope bridge before. Jeez. Says a lot about his character, that he, would face that fear, and not only that, but grab the heaviest weapon, too. Ranger School policy states that any student who is a weak swimmer cannot carry special equipment, and they must also wear a chemical light stick for identification. He willingly took the .240 that day and seemed fine throughout the swamp, one fellow trainee says. He didn't voice any struggles. Requenez's drowning death during the river crossing that followed was investigated by the U.S. Army Combat Readiness Center. Witness statements and a mishap report were obtained by Army Times through a Freedom of Information Act request. There were 3 recommendations included in the report, all of which were redacted. Requenez's wife was told one change to the course involves the use of life vests among instructors. So it says here from his wife, the 2 instructors that did try to help my husband got tired. They think that with the life vest, they could have been able to help a little bit more since they wouldn't have lost a lot of energy. Oh, man. Oh, man. Crazy. That's sad. On the 8th day of the Field X, March 25th, 2021, the students were tasked with moving by Zodiac boat through swampland and crossing a river before raiding an objective. They reached the river close to sunset at 18:20. The current was stronger than expected after 2 students who were good swimmers set up the rope. The instructor sent across 1 student who was previously identified as a weak swimmer. Everything seemed to be going well. But another .240 gunner that day, whose name was redacted, said in a witness statement that the rope bridge was pretty loose, making it harder to cross. The unnamed student had trouble when he got to the halfway point because he couldn't lean back and push away the rope, as students were told to do, without taking on water. Instead, he let go of the rope and began to swim. He lost control of his .240's tug line as he swam. When he reached the river bank, he tried to warn instructors that he accidentally left his weapon on the rope, but they told him to stand by because they were dealing with something more pressing. The next .240 gunner, Requenez, was struggling to keep his head above water. Instructors coached him from the riverbank to calm down and lean back so his rucksack could serve as a flotation device. Safety swimmers went out to help him get his ruck off, but it kept rolling, and Requeñas couldn't control it. Sometime during the struggle, Requeñas went under, and his team lost sight of him. An instructor traced the rope underwater. He felt the Picatinny rail of the 240, like where you attach gear, but nothing else. The team began taking down the rope so a rescue boat could cross and search downstream in case Requeñas had washed away. But as the soldiers pulled the rope to the riverbank, they felt considerable weight, and unresponsive Requeñas was still attached to it by his swimmer safety line. Wow. Medics performed CPR, but it didn't work. He flew to Eglin Air Force Hospital, where he was pronounced dead at 1900. So it says here from the command, in order to bring the most combat realistic training, the Airborne and Ranger Training Brigade does not publicly discuss all details of the training. Our commitment remains providing the most disciplined and well-trained Ranger instructors in the most realistic training environment to help to develop future combat-ready leaders. He was not a Ranger School graduate yet, which is a leadership course available to all soldiers, but he had already been selected and assigned to Ranger Regiment, which he basically went to RASP, a special operations unit known for its direct action raids. If you guys have read By Water Beneath the Walls, you'll know more about that. His wife had never known him to be a poor swimmer, but Ranger School takes a toll on the body. Students are deprived of sleep and exhausted in the field. Extra weight on the rope and the river's strong current, likely added to whatever concerns, had prompted Requeñas to identify himself as a weak swimmer days earlier. I feel like students should be able to just identify themselves as weak swimmers at any time. My husband was always aware of how strong the water really is, and he always tell me not to underestimate it. And I tell you guys the same thing, that the water is very dangerous and will humble even the strongest man or woman. If you're not a strong swimmer and you get caught in a current, you're in serious danger, and you have to get pretty serious about rescuing yourself or getting rescued. I can't believe that. He knew he was in trouble. He knew he was scared, but he probably said, I'm a soldier. I'm a ranger. He's already he's a ranger in Ranger Battalion, tabbed. So he's not going to not go. He's not going to not do it if his teammates are doing it. And it all could have been prevented. It didn't have to happen at all. So what do you guys think? Does that classify as negligence, like negligent homicide? Is that irresponsibility or failure of follow procedures of the schoolhouse cadre? I know what they said in the article there, but still, it seems like a common sense thing. If somebody says, hey, I don't know how to swim, and they're like, whatever, we think you do know how to swim, so go for it. Some of that might be encouraging somebody who's just, having a little bit of fear, but they're okay, and some of it might be just ignoring, an obvious problem until somebody dies. Complicated, I guess. Let me know what you guys think about that one in the comments. That's a wild one. That's a wild one. Man, this next one, you guys are not going to like this next one. I'm going to tell you the truth. By the way, if you haven't been over to scuttlebuttshow.com, scuttlebuttclothing.com, you can pick up this promotable t-shirt and represent your 3.0 eval from the Navy. And all the other cool gear over there. So make sure you guys go check that out. Thanks to Ancient Neophyte for joining Patreon over the weekend. I just want to let you guys know, if he's out there in the chat somewhere, he signed up as a patron, and I appreciate that. You guys can join as members of the channel by clicking the join button down below, or go over to Patreon and become a patron. Either way, I really appreciate it. That stuff goes a long way to making this show better and to making me even more motivated to keep bringing you guys great content, although I don't plan on stopping that anytime soon. So, I don't even want to click the button, you guys. I don't even want to click the button, but I guess we got to talk about it, because I want to know this story and I want to understand how this could happen again and again and again. World War II veteran begged caretakers for help in Georgia nursing home before dying, feds say. Begged for help, and he was ignored and told to just shut up, and then he died. We've had other stories like this. We had a story about a guy in a VA home who was eaten alive by fire ants. Do you guys remember that one? I get sick to my stomach thinking about it, because it happened to him twice. He survived once, and then they left him in there, and it happened again, and he died. To do this to the elderly is sick. People who prey on elderly people, like fraudsters, are sick human beings, truly sick. And if you're a medical professional and somebody's trusted you with the care of their loved one, or they've put trust in you for themselves, and then you do something like this, there's no punishment great enough, in my opinion. But let's see what did happen. 3 former staff members at a Georgia nursing home pled guilty to their accused roles in the death of an elderly patient. The charges against the 2 former nurses and 1 former nurse aide stem from the 2014 death of James Dempsey, who was 89 years old. He was a patient in their care at the Northeast Atlanta Rehab Center in Brookhaven, a city about 10 miles northeast of Atlanta. Evidence shows that the workers failed to provide timely and necessary medical assistance, ultimately resulting in Mr. Dempsey's death. Dempsey was a World War II veteran, according to local outlets, including the Atlanta Journal-Constitution. McClatchy News has reached out to the Brookhaven Police Department for further information. A hidden surveillance video placed in Dempsey's room revealed he was suffering from respiratory distress and continually called out for help on the day of his death. I can't imagine this is your family member. On March 15th, former nurse Lois Piquet Aguiman, 67 years old, pled guilty to involuntary manslaughter, neglect to an elder person, and concealing the death of another. What? She was sentenced to 8 years in prison. The next day, Wanda Knuckles, 65, also a former nurse, pled guilty to concealing the death of another and was sentenced to a year in prison. Mabel Turman, 66, was a certified nurse assistant, pled guilty in February to charges of neglect of an elder person and concealing the death of another. As the least culpable of the 3, Turman was sentenced to 5 years probation. Stop pushing the call button is the quote here. The day he died, Dempsey complained of chest pain and said he couldn't breathe, but Aguiman told him there was nothing wrong with his heart and to stop pushing the call button before leaving his room. I don't know if you guys know this, but if somebody says they're having chest pains, if somebody says they think they're having a heart attack, hospitals are not allowed to turn them away or let them go. Ambulances cannot ignore that call. Police cannot ignore that claim. This is a standard. This is like a national standard. When Dempsey called for help again, Turman is accused of arriving in his room 24 minutes later. By then, he was already unresponsive. Turman called Knuckles and Aguiman into the room, but neither of them attempted to revive the patient. Aguiman and Knuckles only began performing CPR an hour after Dempsey stopped breathing in a ruse for the emergency service personnel who had just arrived on the scene. Can't even think about this. Only found out because Dempsey's son had set up a camera after Dempsey told him that personal items were being taken from his room and that he often had to wait for help. If his son didn't put the camera in there, this would have continued to happen to others. Video surveillance reportedly revealed Dempsey pressed the help button from his bed 6 times on the day he died. The video shows him yelling, "Help." I'm shaking. My hand is shaking. We would have just thought it was natural causes and everything was done that should have been done, and he passed away in his sleep. This is a landmark case for the state of Georgia and DeKalb County, Boston said in a March 17th release. As a result of this case, the Georgia Supreme Court has ruled that families have a right to install video recording equipment in their loved ones' nursing home spaces. Yeah, make that a national thing. Make that a national thing. Because one more story like this of the VA doing this stuff, and I don't know, I can't take it. I really can't take it. The VA is not doing enough to prevent this. It just doesn't make sense at all that so many VA facilities are hiring people who would do this. Where are they getting these hires from? What is the culture? What is the culture of the VA like that this keeps happening? They need new leadership over there. The VA needs new leadership, somebody who gives a damn and can motivate the staff to not just let people die. To not just let people die. How about that? Is that asking too much? I don't know. Leave me a comment. Is it too much? Leave me a comment. I saw Larry D said, just for anybody listening on the podcast, Larry D said the math doesn't add up if he died in 2022. He actually died in 2014. So the math is, you got to give him another 8 years. Give him another 8 years there. So, but I do have good news for you guys. Now that that's over, is pretty much the rest of the stories are all good, like all ones that we can enjoy. We can enjoy the rest of the stories because we're just going to make fun of the Army and the Navy for the rest of the episode, all right, and the Space Force too. We're going to make fun of the Army, Navy, and Space Force for the rest of the episode. I'll leave you guys with something that'll make you happy, and we don't have to be all upset. Although I don't want you guys to forget about what's happening in the VA hospital because maybe you have a grandfather or grandmother who served, or maybe your mother or father served, or maybe you served. And the time comes for you to start looking at, a live-in facility for care. If people are, struggling mentally and cognitively, and they need to be taken care of, they need to be looked after so that they don't get themselves hurt, then, hold those facilities accountable. Frequently visit. Ask your loved one what's going on. Maybe spy on what's going on in there. At this point, you kind of got to. You kind of can't assume that they're going to do the right thing, which is the worst part. It's unbelievable. It really is. It's insane. It's quite upsetting. I'm totally upset by that. I don't know about you guys, but seriously, that one really got me. I don't like it. I do not like that one bit. What's up, Super Poo and JoJo in the chat? It's great to see you guys, and Yeet as well. Thanks for joining the show today. I really appreciate that a lot. Super Poo says, it's sad, heartbreaking, and horrific. Unfortunately, this is what happens when you mix money and medicine, not just the VA. This happens in civilian facilities as well. Yep, you're right. You're right. It's terrible. It's terrible. JoJo says, I guess it's good they finally got caught. Hopefully it'll never work again. Yes, hopefully they will never be put in charge of somebody's safety again. The only problem with that is they might, because it seems like if people just go to a different state, these things do not tend to follow them. They can go get a job in Nevada or Utah or North Dakota or something like that at a facility. And no one will ever know what they did in Atlanta, in Georgia. Tragic. Tragic it is, but when it, now would be a good time to have a good story, right? Let's do it. Let's get into a good one. I've got ACFT update. No official update to the timeline. Consequences unclear. So the Army's like, we really jacked this up. We're just not going to do fitness anymore. So as the clock counts down on April 1st, when the Army Combat Fitness Test was scheduled to become the service's test of record, the Sergeant Major of the Army had little detail to offer at a pair of town hall events earlier this week. The problem: the service has been silent about the test while it weighs the results of a Congress-mandated independent review that RAND did on the test and its potential impact on reservists and women's careers. The RAND report has been delivered to Congress and the Army and military.com, or according to military.com, but the Army's senior leaders are still reviewing the findings and recommendations. It's not clear whether the current version of the test will be the version that takes effect on April 1st, nor is it clear how it will play into personnel considerations like flags, promotions, or medical boards. I know everybody wants it. It's coming, Grinston said. That's the Sergeant Major of the Army, the SMA. He said Wednesday evening on a phone call with Army Times, I promise we'll get it out as soon as possible. In a Tuesday morning virtual town hall, SMA said, don't worry about April 1st, and that he said, hopefully we'll get an announcement in the next 2 weeks. If you keep training for an ACFT version that you have now, I think you're going to be perfectly fine. There may be a minor tweak here or there. So they got rid of the elbow hang knee raises, which I guess were really jacking people up, and it's called a leg tuck, and they're talking about replacing it with the plank. And they're also talking about adjusting weight, so that way the weight is not independent of the body weight. So the weight you have to lift for deadlift is currently independent of body weight, meaning that a 130-pound dude and a 245-pound dude are expected to lift the same amount of weight to get a perfect score. So they're making some changes there too. But here's the thing. While the Army mills about smartly trying to figure out what to do as far as fitness goes and how to keep their combat on the ground, boots on the ground, soldier-to-soldier combat people fit, the Space Force is taking another path. Here's what the Space Force is doing. Here's the Space Force's plan to ditch annual fitness testing. The quote literally here is, instead of exercise, the Space Force just wants you to know if you're feeling good. That's the standard. The Space Force has reverted to no fitness at all whatsoever. Their entire program is going to be graded on your feelings. That's it. How you feeling, bud? Feeling strong? Go get him, Tiger. We've got this story here that I have a difficult time believing. It's, now the Space Force really isn't the military. They're really not. If you don't have a fitness standard, a health and fitness standard, you are not warfighter ready. That's it, period. Period. Because guess what? If you're a member of the DOD the Department of Defense, if you're a military branch, if your government ID card says your Geneva Convention Code category is 1, then guess what? You're a combatant, and the enemy is going to view you as one. So how can you just not have a fitness standard at all? How? The Space Force is boldly going where no U.S. military branch has gone before, dumping the annual fitness test. The Pentagon's newest branch wants its members to focus on managing their daily health to feel their best, rather than on how fast they can run a mile or complete push-ups once a year. This is a real thing, you guys. This is a real thing. It is time to implement a data-driven, research-informed, holistic health and fitness approach to increase the wellness and readiness of the force, Space Force personnel boss Patricia Mulcahy said in a March 16th memo to Guardians. Straight to the Guardians. Starting next year, the service plans to institute a program that promotes physical activity, mental health, balanced eating and sleep, and other facets of a healthy lifestyle. Guardians in 2022 will get the chance to weigh in on which technologies and methods the Space Force should use. They're crowdsourcing the info here. The program will promote not just physical fitness, it will pair fitness with robust education on diet, sleep hygiene, and other physiological factors to promote social, mental, and spiritual health as well. We are looking into more scientifically proven ways to do so. Hey, you know what a scientifically proven way is to feel good and be healthy? It's exercise. I hate to burst the bubble there, but it's exercise, geniuses. Oh, man. Guardians are already trying out Garmin watches and Oura rings to see how well they fit into their everyday lives. So they're actually using wearable devices to measure their fitness as well, that you're just going to get when you join the Space Force, I guess. Guardians are already trying out Garmin watches. Officials bet that spending money on wearables to track workout, physiological, and sleep data will ultimately lead to lower healthcare costs and keep the workforce happier and more productive. I'll tell you an interesting thing, though. If you ask a doctor about that, they have noticed an uptick in health anxiety since people have started wearing wearables, because people will get notifications like, your heart seems weird. Are you in arrhythmia? Are you eating enough? You're not exercising enough. You didn't get your steps in today. There's actually an increase in health anxiety. I've been told by doctors, there's an increase in health anxiety as a result of these wearables. But for me, it's been really good, says General Jay Raymond, the Space Force's top officer. If I ate a late dinner, I didn't sleep as well because my heartbeat didn't go down as fast at night. I have gotten a better night's sleep because I'm aware of those details, which hopefully make me more effective in my job. The Space Force has contracted with health company Fit Rankings to link data from any wearable into a network where troops can compete and hold each other accountable. And the article goes on. There's no doubt that cognitive acuity is tied to physical fitness. Toberman added, we are 100% committed to having the most physically fit and mentally capable human beings we can get. Basically, they're saying, how is somebody supposed to be ready to perform on demanding hours, long days, austere environments, tricky conditions if they're not fit? Because space operations entail more desk work, like sitting at a satellite control console or monitoring missile launch data on a computer, and other military missions, Space Force officials want to prioritize general wellness instead of judging others on specific strength and endurance exercise. Oh, man. The Department of the Air Force is searching for a way to assess body composition without incentivizing dangerous behavior, which is, come on. Our goal is to implement a program that will support Guardians in their individual journeys in health and wellness so that they can be their best whole selves. Is the Space Force literally telling them to live their best lives? Man. It's just like a bunch of cliches. That's all. They're just saying cliches. You need to feel your best to do your best. Live your best life. Hold each other accountable. Make it fun. You're more than your waist size. I don't know. It's out of control. Out of control. From Reddit, someone said, wonder how many people are going to put it on their dog and take them to the park. Yo, that's a great idea. Another user said it's based on oxygen consumption and heart rate levels. Dogs may not work, but I see a market opening for people paying other people to wear them while running. That's the laziest thing I've ever heard. That might be the laziest thing I've ever heard in my entire life. Don't do that. Just don't do that. You're in the military. You joined the military. You should be able to exercise without, having that ruin your life. I'm so disappointed. I am truly disappointed. That is sad. Really sad. How do you guys feel about it? Leave me a comment. How do you feel about that? Let's see. Buford, what's up? Fitness helps with brain function, and obesity can cause decreased brain function. Yeah, 100%. HNOS, so many t-shirt opportunities. Heck yeah. I want my Space Marines to be fit and smart. Yeah, hell yeah. Roll that chair from panel to panel and push those buttons, Harry says. No Space Force SF. Yeah. H-Not says, seems plausible to me. My watch told me I was having AFib after a rowing session. It wasn't remotely correct. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Now imagine if you rushed to an ER because your heart said that. Imagine if everyone did that. That wouldn't be good. MC says, that's even more reason why there should be a PT test. Sitting all day is terrible for your health. This is so contradicting. Yes, I agree with you. That's a great point. I agree with you 100%. That is a completely great point. Yeah, very true. Very true. I've got a story here. We got to keep going to finish all of today's stories. So I'm going to jump right into the next one. But this one, you guys, I'm telling you, this is the thumbnail right here. This is insane. Just insane. Let's talk about it. Bond denied for Navy sailor charged with killing another man with a dumbbell. And you can take a look at the mugshot there, and you might be shocked to find out drugs were a factor. Indeed. Indeed. A Virginia Beach judge denied bond Thursday for a sailor charged last week with killing a man with a dumbbell. I don't know about you, but she's hot. Is she not just smoking hot right there? Look at that. Look at that. Tattoo on the neck. No teeth. Skin melting off. Look at that. District Judge Daniel Lonnie ordered that 41-year-old Jason Jablonski remain in jail without bond. Jablonski's next court date is a preliminary hearing on May 12th. This is a sailor, you guys. This is a sailor. Jablonski is a gunner's mate first class. He's somebody's LPO. That's somebody's leading petty officer. He was arrested and charged March 11th with killing Herbert Bryant, who's 45, at a residence near Indian River Park, and the Chesapeake City line. Oh, my God. Also charged in this case is Heather Toddy, 35? She's 35 years old? She looks like 135. Is that Voldemort over here? What is that? Is that a person still? 35? She's 35? Toddy is accused of helping Jablonski move Bryant's body afterward. She's charged with being an accessory after the fact and also was ordered Thursday to remain in the city jail without bond. Jablonski was on a crack bender and got into a fight with a crack bender. He was on a crack bender. So he might be a gunner's mate, but that wasn't gunpowder he was loading. I'll tell you that. We've got a crack bender going on. Then he gets into a fight with Bryant. He hit Bryant in the face with a dumbbell and then pushed it down on his neck until he stopped moving. Oh, my God. Toddy was present when the altercation happened and helped Jablonski drag Bryant's body outside afterward. The court documents state Jablonski fled to a hotel while Toddy cleaned the residence and gathered Bryant's things. Court documents didn't explain the relationship between Jablonski, Toddy, and Bryant. A spokeswoman for the Commonwealth Attorney's Office declined to say how the three knew each other. They were probably doing crack together. If I'm guessing, you don't really go on a crack bender and then hang out at somebody's house and like everyone's cool. You know, that doesn't sound right. So, look, if you need any more reason to not do crack, that woman is 35. So, don't do crack. Don't do meth. Don't do heroin. Don't do it. You're gonna look like her at 35, and you're gonna end up spending your life in prison. And dishonorable discharge in Leavenworth, like a Jablonski over here. Good job, Jablonski, you psychopath. Now, here's the question that I have for you guys. Do you think that people at work that worked with him knew he was, doing crack? Like, do you think there was any suspicion? And did anybody try to intervene? And should they have? Leave me a comment on all that stuff. I'm curious what you guys think about that. Crack is one thing. It's probably the worst thing, actually. That's probably the worst thing. But there is something else that I have for you guys today. I do have something else. One more thing. Well, I have two more things, but one more crazy thing here. So, the Navy. We got Jablonski, gunner's mate, just beat somebody to death with a dumbbell in the Navy on a crack bender. Sailors are wild. Sailors are wild. Wild and crazy, sailing around the world, pulling into foreign ports for 2 days, just looking to get into the craziest shit that they can. And some sailors over here, they did just that. American Navy personnel arrested in Stockholm on suspicion of paying for sex. I'm shocked. This is basically, I've known dudes who, as soon as they get off the ship in a foreign port, they go to the red light district and they don't leave until they have to come back on the ship. So that's probably what's going on here. According to Sweden's Expressen newspaper, which was the first to report the story, the two suspects, both of whom were American, were arrested around 8 p.m. on Wednesday evening at an apartment brothel in the city's upmarket Ulstermalm district. They were first taken to a police station, then passed on to Swedish military police once they were released from custody. Police confirmed that the two foreign citizens had been arrested on suspicion of paying for sex, which is illegal in Sweden. One of them, the police added, was suspected of paying for sex on 2 separate occasions. What do you guys think? What are the odds that these two are married also with kids? Both of them have confessed. They were arrested at an apartment brothel in Östermalm, and that's from police press spokesperson Anna Westberg. She says, I don't have any further comment in relation to the investigation. 2 Swedish citizens were arrested and charged during the same raid. Paying for sex or the procurement of sexual services is illegal in Sweden, but selling sex is not, under what is commonly referred to as the Nordic model. Those convicted of paying for sex can face a prison sentence of up to a year. However, the majority are only ordered to pay a fine. So basically, like, there's no punishment for being the working girl, but there is a punishment for paying for it. I'm not sure how that Nordic model works. It almost sounds like entrapment, you know? Because if here's what I'm picturing. These guys, I mean, they probably got a Liberty brief. They probably knew the deal. But let's just give them the benefit of a doubt for a second. And let's assume they're walking down the street in Sweden. They come across the red light district. They show up, and there's girls, like, you know, just working publicly. It looks all like it's like there's nothing unusual about this, right? They're out there. They're saying, come with us, guys. You know, we'll take good care of you. Look, and they're just doing it in the street. Like, you probably have a whole row of this stuff going on, something like that. And so it doesn't appear as though anybody's doing anything wrong. And they go, oh, this must be okay. It looks okay. It must be okay. Then they get busted, and by the way, it's not okay morally or ethically or anything like that. It's not okay if they're, you know, have relationships and they're cheating on their spouse or girlfriend or whatever. Not okay. None of that's okay. But in some places, prostitution or solicitation of sex is legal, especially overseas. And so you go in there, and they're like, oh yeah, this is all good. It's all good. So let's do it. And then you do it, and you get arrested, and then the girl comes back out and goes for the next guy. Because they're doing nothing wrong? Maybe I'm not understanding that right. Maybe something's lost in translation here. That just doesn't jive. You know what I'm saying? Let me know what you guys think about that in the comments, or if you know the actual deal with that. I would love to hear it. So let me know, and maybe we can get to the bottom of it. And if we do, I will share with you guys the updates. So almost done, guys, today. What a day. What a day. Am I right? Super Poo says, I worked in a place where a colleague collapsed in the bathroom with needle in arm. Oh, my gosh. I'm sorry to hear that. I'm really sorry to hear that. Nugget says, I bet they knew he was on crack. Yep. They must have been on that boat for ages, JoJo says. Yeah, maybe. Larry D says, my division had a guy get the clap twice on the same cruise. Twice. Yeah. You do hear about that stuff. Harry Line Pie says, can't be true. They would not be in any upmarket area. Yeah. Ika says, Swedish government, yo, homie, you got caught lacking. Pay up. Lacking? What's that? What's lacking? It's all just a corrupt system. Damn Swedens. Well, hey, you know what? I don't have any sympathy for those sailors who went out and they made their own choices. You know, they went for it. You know, so you do the crime, you do the time, I guess. So let's end it on a positive note. What do you guys think? I mean, I know I know it's what we do here, so I know you guys are probably okay with it. Let's go into today's last story, which is it's kind of interesting, and we're back to the Space Force. Keep in mind, before we do this next story, the Space Force also today announced that instead of exercise, they just want to know that your feelings are okay, and they're not making you exercise anymore because it might hurt your feelings. And now this, you've got to see the U.S. Space Force unit emblems. Yes, please. Let's take a look. So the unit emblem, you know, the icon of your team, the thing that you look at every day in your work center that motivates you to go do your job well, right? It's one of the most important logos you'll ever have is your military unit logo. I've got one of mine tattooed on my leg. I have our unit logo, mascot, tattooed on my leg, all right? So, with that being said, let's talk about some of these Space Force logos. How about that? Never forget, an actual branch of the United States military was sued by Netflix for copyright infringement. That's the Space Force. And lost, at least in certain territories. That said, the actual real Space Force continues to move ahead, complete with unit emblems and slogans. One Twitter user posted a thread recently showing off each branch's emblems. They're about as ridiculous as you can imagine. It's worth looking through the entire thing. Oh my gosh. There's number one. The multi-headed dragon there, so holding the world. Oh, man. Ben here from Twitter says, I have discovered the emblems of the various units of the U.S. Space Force, and this knowledge has changed me. Do I have to click the link here? Let's click the link. Let's see. Make sure volume's down. I don't know what I'm getting myself into here. Let's see what these unit logos are. Do we have multiple here? Oh, my God. What is that? Oh, my God. Oh, man. Oh, my God. Did you guys see what I just saw? Whoa. I mean, this first one is interesting in a way, in its own kind of way. But, oh, my God. Did you guys see that next one? Let's take a look. This is pretty epic right here. Oh, my gosh. It is a Spartan astronaut helmet. A Spartan astronaut helmet with a skull inside. I guess a dead astronaut with bad teeth. Stop it, you guys. Stop. Please tell me that this is a joke. What do you guys think? Was there like a command competition for this one? And they're like, that's the winner right there. Hell yeah. That's us. Space Spartans. Dead Space Spartans. Wow. Oh, this one is also pretty good. We've got a bear charging down the arrow here, holding a key, like an old school key. And then like a constellation. Okay. Oh my God. Oh my gosh. I got tiger blood. You know, this one is a tiger gripping 2 lightning bolts, giving the Earth a hug. What? From Space Delta 5. I don't know what that means. Is that a unit? Wow. Okay. The Cyberspace Squadron went for Sasquatch. Sasquatch with a shield, red eyes, a lightning bolt, and he's walking on top of the world. A gargoyle from the old show Gargoyles. You guys remember the old cartoon Gargoyles? And we got one right here. Okay, that one is like, it's not that funny or ridiculous or anything like that. I don't get it, but sure, okay, that one's fine. Yes. This is the one I was waiting for right here. Let's go. This is the one I was waiting for. A tiger who has wings and is holding a sword with his opposable thumb and 3 fingers. And he has stars for eyes. He has stars for eyes, you guys. Those are stars instead of eyes. That's what's happening right now. Yes. Okay, now I'm getting motivated. Now I'm getting going. Okay, now I'm getting pumped up. Oh, yes. Oh, yes. This is the sickest I've ever seen, says Ben. This looks like an old school like dragon, like Asian-inspired dragon over the Earth. And the Earth has rings. And the Earth has rings like Saturn. Yep. The Earth has rings like Saturn and is being guarded by a Asian-inspired dragon. Okay. Got it. Somebody should tell, by the way, can somebody tell the Space Force the Earth doesn't have rings? 23rd Space Operations Squadron. The Grim Reaper is getting Wi-Fi in this one. The Grim Reaper's getting Wi-Fi, and he shouldn't be looking directly at the antenna like that because there's probably a lot of RF energy, probably giving you a brain tumor, Mr. Grim Reaper. You're going to have to come for yourself. The octopus with his tentacles out for the 12th or I'm sorry, the 22nd Space Operations Squadron. My mistake, Roman numerals are hard. We got the 10th and 11th Space Warning Squadron, which went with a Spartan and a Knight. We've got, oh my God, we've got, you know, this one is another cat-like animal guarding the Earth. The Earth has rings on this one too. I believe that's Earth. Rings on this one too. And it's like the Earth is a ball of yarn and this cat's playing with it. And you can tell that he's mad because you are trying to take away the yarn. So he's growling at you. And the Space Force logo in the middle. So that's a thing. So that's a real thing. That now we all have to live with the knowledge that exists. Good luck, Space Force. Good luck, man. You guys need it. You guys might need a little bit of luck on your side because that is some wild stuff right there. None of my business, though, I guess. So, guys, gals, everybody, what a day. What a day. We're back. Whole week of episodes. Big stuff coming. You'll be seeing the documentary soon, I hope. MC says, can I continue my rant about the Space Force not having a PT standard? If they were theoretically actually going to space, it's very well known how important it is to stay physically fit in space. Yep, totally. Jojo says, the only way I can take Space Force seriously is if they can somehow defend us from an alien attack and conquer the rest of the galaxy. Well, put it in their any mouse box. Let them know that's how you feel. All right, guys, that's going to wrap it up for today's episode. Thank you so much. You guys are awesome. You guys are awesome. I'm glad we could have a happy ending there with the Space Force stuff. Really turned it around. It was a pretty heavy episode. If you guys want, you can go check out scuttlebuttshow.com and get some cool Scuttlebutt Show swag. You can go to Patreon, become a member, all that stuff. It goes a long way to support the channel, and it means the world to me when you guys do. I'm telling you, when you guys join as a member or a patron or anything like that, I just go brag to my wife and all my friends about how proud I am of you guys and us, you know, coming together and making this thing happen, making this show exist every day. I'll leave it there for now. I'll be back tomorrow with another regularly scheduled episode of the Scuttlebutt Show. With all that being said, and until next time, for now, that's the Scuttlebutt.
What you just said is one of the most insanely idiotic things I have ever heard. At no point in your rambling, incoherent response were you even close to anything that could be considered a rational thought. Everyone in this room is now dumber for having listened to it. I award you no points, and may God have mercy on your soul.